lovely family. And 40 years ago, I was working down in Clayton. I would come here at my lunch hour and just browse around. And I love left bank books so much. So I'm thrilled and delighted to get to come to town and work with them. Parents, I want to say thank you for coming out on a Saturday. I know you have things to do and places to be and all of that. So for you to spend your day celebrating books and an indie bookstore, it's everything. And thank you just for supporting indies, I have to say, and I always will say this, and I mean it. There are great children's books because of indies. Without them, there will not be great kids' books, because a book cannot find its way in the vat of vegetable soup that bubbles up, which is that place where you buy things from the guy with the rocket. It's impossible to find your book, to have it be seen. And indies find books that they love, and they help share them with people who need them. So, yay! So, okay. I'm here today to tell you about Billie Jean King, athlete, but I'm going to start by just telling you kind of how all of this happened. And it all began with this book, which is Iggy Peck, Architect. And Iggy, I wrote 20 years ago, maybe, and almost, or a little more than. And Iggy, I wrote because my son, when he was little, loved to build things. He was always building stuff. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun? Like, for instance, I'd be cooking dinner, he'd build like soup cans out of the cabinet, and he'd build a great tower. And I thought, that is great. I would love to maybe write a book about a kid who loved architecture. And that's where Iggy came from. And so I wrote Iggy Peck, and the publisher found an illustrator in England named David Roberts, who created this beautiful, all this beautiful art, including lots of really well-dressed people. They're so well-dressed. And that is because David studied fashion illustration in college. So he brings all of his game to these books. Well, I should tell you, this is here because I used to live in St. Louis. So that's why I included the St. Louis Arch in coconut pies. Not that coconut pie is such a thing, but well, when David drew the pictures, he had all he knew about the classroom was that there were 17 smiling young faces, 17 kids. And so he drew this bunch of kids. And he drew them because they looked just like he was in London. They looked just like the kids he sees in London. And they looked just like the kids I see in pretty much any city I go to here in America as well. And he wanted to have all kinds of kids see themselves in the book. That's really important to him. Kids of all abilities, just every kind of kid. So that's one of the things that I really love about the books, is there's lots of variety and representation. Well, my publisher, because the independent bookstores really got behind Iggy and sold a book that just kept hand selling it to people, say, you've got to read this book. The publisher was like, hey, write another book for Iggy. I tried. I was like, I already wrote that story. Now I'm bored. I can't do it twice. But I thought one day, what about these kids? Who are they? What's their story? What's their deal? And so I started doing research. And my research was basically me playing detective, where I went to look at each kid in the book. And each kid shows up 4 times. And the thing about all of the characters that David draws, to him, they're real people. Like, they are just, there's no extras. That's how he says it. So that if someone shows up in the book, they are complete humans with personalities and all the things that go with that. He does not tell me any of that. He does not tell me who they are or any of their personality. And I don't ask. We have this very, very strong wall that we keep between each other. So because I'm like, I can never improve anything you're going to do. He's like, oh, I don't want to get in your way. So I write. I throw it to him. He draws. He throws it back over. But every person is a real character to him. So there's a lot of consistency from page to page, from book to book. And so I started looking at these kids, and I noticed this girl, the blonde girl, that you never see both of her eyes. Her hair swoops over her eye every time. And she's the smallest kid in the class, I think. But she also is kind of like sitting there like, call on me. And I realized she's a shy kid. I'm not very shy, but my sister is really shy. And she taught me that shy kids may not be blathering around talking all the time. They're always watching, and they're always listening, and they're always thinking. And if you give them the time and space and respect, they'll come when they're ready. They may tell you all kinds of interesting things. And so I thought, I bet she's pretty interesting. And then I thought, what if she was an engineer? And I wanted her to be an engineer. So I wrote this book. I wanted her to be an engineer because I wish I could say this because I wanted to promote girls in STEM, which I know is important. But in fact, I wanted to see what kind of crazy things David Roberts would do. And he succeeded in doing some marvelous, marvelous things, including, of course, like the giant cheese copter, which is my favorite. And I knew that we would be very good friends when I saw the cheese copter, and I noticed that he had a baby doll head as the control switch. I'm like, we're friends, friends now, ever and ever. Well, Rosie Revere Engineer, they do a lot of things. Hello. Including making a bunch of gizmos and gadgets in the scene. And so this is when they've all decided that engineering is fabulous and they make some cool things, including this gigantic 4-story apartment building airplane, which I think is brilliant. That's Iggy Peck's, of course, because he loves a building. There's a spy hat. There's a personal disco. But my favorite is this one right here. This girl with the red boots and the springs on her feet and her braids. And all you see is her jumping out of the book. And every time I read that, I go, boing, boing. And I thought, well, what if there was a kid who loved weird noises? What if there's a kid who just loved making strange sounds? And she liked all kinds of noise, but no one else really liked it. She wanted to be musical, but she wasn't very good at it. She liked basketball, but she wasn't good at that. But she lives with her 2 sisters who are great at making music. And all of her classmates are really good at stuff. And I wondered what would happen if she started letting that really bug her. Everybody else was good at stuff, but she wasn't. And so I wrote this story named Billie Jean Pete Athlete. I have to show you first something wonderful. All of the books have different covers and undersides, which is neat. And I have to tell you that in the book biz, people call these undies. I know. And there's an award they have. There's an annual award for the best undies. I hope it's called the Golden Undies. I don't know. I'm going to start rooting for that though. All right. So this is Billie Jean Pete Athlete, and here's Billie Jean with her pet mouse Pop. So one day Billie Jean starts comparing herself with everybody else and thinking, I'm not good at anything. And instead of just saying, okay, just stop being down on yourself and kind of moving on, she keeps dwelling on it more and more and more and more and more until she starts to think she's not great at anything. And that's where trouble begins. Billie Jean is the middle kid, born after Addie and just before Sid. She has mid-sized ears and mid-sized feet. She lives midway down Midway Street in a mid-sized apartment with her pet mouse Pop on a mid-sized planet that spins off the top. The Pete home is chaos in the very best way. There's nonstop music to sing and to play from the first light of dawn until stars fill the sky when they drift off to sleep with a sweet lullaby. Then they get up the next day and do it again. 2 parents, 1 mouse, and 3 best friends. Hi. Yeah, come and join us. We're just reading Billie Jean Pete Athlete. The world spins and spins, as everyone knows. Like Sydney and Adelaide, Billie Jean grows. While Sydney loves music, drumming, and Addie can sing, Billie Jean is not great at, well, she tries all the instruments. She's sharp and she's flat. She squeaks and she squeals like a cranky bobcat. The noise is sublime, but alas, she must stop. She freaks out the neighbors and frightens poor Pop. So she gives up on music, but deep in the night, a thought wakes her up like a tiny bug bite. She's never amazing like Addie or Sid. Is she just the middle kid? Like many bug bites, if left alone, such negative thoughts can fade on their own. And yet she starts scratching, and before too long, that bite starts to swell, and soon everything's wrong. It just is not letting it go. She loves making noises, but who gives a hoot if she makes a big bang or a terrible toot? She likes basketball, but she's only so-so. She can't play the drums or the flute or oboe. She can't sail a sloop or a catamaran. Even her mouse Pop dances better than Billie Jean can. And he's a really good dancer, it's true, but come on. She can't shake it off. She keeps scratching that bite. So when the moon sets at the end of the night, Billie Jean P can't do anything right. So here she is, just like, ugh. She scratches some more. She heads off to school where things she enjoyed don't seem quite so cool. And her talented friends and the things they can do make her wish she was anyplace else but grade 2. But somebody asks her, what's on your mind? She listens intensely. She's thoughtful and kind. Just be Billie Jean, the best one you can be. You'll figure it out. Just wait. You'll see. Look for your joy and you'll find your own song. And when that happens, we'll all dance along. What if that's right? What if that's true? Billie Jean Pete doesn't know what. So she goes back to basketball, which means every day at Citizens Gym by the Cheddar Chalet. She has lots of fun in the Park District class, which gets better and better as 7 weeks pass. It ends with a shindig of cheeses and sports, which draws a big crowd to the basketball courts. The coach puts her in with 5 minutes to go. She runs and she runs back and forth, to and fro. Then something great happens. She's in the right spot. She catches the ball. She makes the big shot. She jumps up and down as her heart fills with pride, which melts to a horrible feeling inside because she just scored for the opposite side. She made a team basket for the wrong team. Yeah. Oh no. The planet stops spinning.
And how they get that?
Everything is a blur. It feels like a million eyes staring at her. Her melted heart sinks till it's lower than low. But there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. So she puts on a smile. She jogs down the court in the last game she'll ever play in any sport. She's decided, that's it. I'm just done. I'm not going to do sports, music, anything ever again. She runs and she runs back and forth to and fro, and at last there's only 1 minute to go. A faint look of hope sneaks onto her face, and that's when she sees her untied shoelace. She's running so fast that when Billie Jean trips, she doesn't fall down. She actually flips. And there at the shindig in Blue River Creek, her shoe slams that floor with an ear-splitting squeak. Wait, what's that noise? Can I do it again? Billie Jean breaks into a glorious grin. She tries him once more, makes the pitch-perfect squeal. The musical screech is sublime and surreal. She loves it so much that she wants to hear more. So she squeakity squeaks on that shiny waxed floor. Squeakity squeak, 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 squeak. Ah, like a dancer. Like a dancer, her whole body moves with the sound. She leaps in the air for the perfect rebound. She dribbles the ball in the jazziest beat that keeps perfect time with the squeaks of her feet. She leaps and she twirls in a fine pirouette, a flick of the wrist, the swish of a net. The crowds on their feet, their hearts filled with awe at the most musical player anyone ever seen. There's nothing like it. Billie Jean starts laughing. She cannot contain the joy in her muscles, her heart, and her brain. Her joy is contagious. She laughs more and more, and the crowd tumbles onto that shiny waxed floor. And they laugh, and they cheer and make sounds with their feet as they dance to the song of that awesome athlete. By mixing two themes to make something brand new, she found her own song and what she loved to do, bringing joy to her heart and the crowd's heart too. Just like her friend said, when she figured out her own thing, everybody would celebrate. Right? And they are. Oh, what a game changer at Citizens Park. Now the whole town plays squeak ball until it gets dark. Then it's home for a lullaby, a book, and then bed. Billie Jean dressed to sleep with a song in her head and dreams of new sports for her family to play. Boo-poo and two-fall and creaky croquet, which all names I like. And if a bug bites in the night dark and deep, Billie Jean just ignores it and goes back to sleep to wait for the planet to make one more spin. Then she'll wake up the next day and do it again. The end. So I have to tell you, the other day I was in Chicagoland with a group of kids, like 500 kids in a gym. And then when I read that and I got to the part where Billie Jean flips and she hits and goes squeak, at that moment, 500 children realized that they too could make that sound. And they did for a very long time. And that was the end of the thing, and there was no coming back. It was amazing, and I loved it. It's so cool. And also, I don't know why I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So that's Billie Jean Pete. And I have to say, people ask me which book I feel is which character is most like me. And I have to say, I think it's Billie Jean Pete, because I was like her. I was a middle kid. I was not the smartest kid in my family or the most talented in anything. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It didn't bug me like it comes her. But I just kind of tried things. And eventually I was 30 when I realized, oh, I think I want to write books. Who knew people can get as old as 30? Am I right? That was the biggest shock of all. Yeah. And now I'm almost 64. 64.
Rub it in that I'm older.
Oh, barely. My heart's young. So one of the other books I want to show you how it happened was, again, an Iggy Peck. In the scene where they're making the bridge, everybody in this picture is doing something like finding things to make the bridge with, except two people. One is this girl who becomes Olivia Valdez, and she's eating cookies. So she becomes the person who maybe is a bit of an activist and a leader, but her grandpa's a baker, so that's how that happened. But the other person who's not going and gathering things is this girl. And she's standing there going like this. What do you think she's doing?
Thinking.
She's thinking. Yeah, she's thinking. And when I saw that girl, I thought, what if she was really curious? What if she was super curious and she maybe wanted to be a scientist? And that is where Ada Twist Scientist came from. And you guys probably know, but I just want to tell you because I'm really have braggy pants about this. There is a Netflix show, Ada Twist Scientist. We won an Emmy. Yeah, we did. You watched it? Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? The songs are so catchy. Do they get stuck in your head? Oh, check it out. It's fun. Is it fun?
I like it too.
Yeah, you what? You used to watch it? Yeah, you're kind of throwing it out now. Yeah. All right. So this is Ada Twist Scientist. I think we should read it.
What
All right. We gotta check out the undies. Yeah, we do.
Oh my god.
Here we go. It's the scene.
It's my mom's shirt.
Yes. I'm looking at you. I love it. I love it. It's fabulous. All right. So this is Ada to a Scientist. And that's her cat. Her cat's named Bunsen. And in the show, though, she's named Mushu or something. One of the things that changed. In the show, though, I will say they did an extraordinary job. Like, the house and everything is exactly like that. All right. Ada Marie said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through this house. She ran through the. It's been a minute. She ran through the day chasing each sound and sight, and she didn't slow down. She popped out. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with thoughts in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. And if you look here, he's trying to figure something out. And what she's trying to figure out is how many legs all the different creatures have. So the bird has 2, the dog has 4, the bee has 6, but the squid has 8, but she says the elephant has 5. The elephant doesn't have 5, but that's a pretty good guess, right? Because she's figuring by the number of things that stick off the animal, and the elephant has a trunk, which looks like a leg. So she may have gotten the answer wrong, but she's thinking all about this. So, and that's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" As all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why, Mr. Why does it tick and why does it talk? And why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose and why are there hairs up inside of your nose?" Good question. She started with why and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." He's so full of so many questions.
Yeah.
Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Well, she goes from asking all kinds of questions about turtles and things with hard shells, and to planets and other things. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc in schools. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Sometimes science is a bit messy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of it. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds which make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, "What is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know when there's something to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell?" She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. She has a question. She has something to figure out. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. So she took their dinner, which was the cabbage stew, and she put all kinds of stinky things in it to see if that was what was making the smell. Oh, do you think that was a good plan? Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. But it wasn't the smell anyway, so now she has to try again. The zowie, the stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis two, it's caused by the cat. But the cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" So here she has taken the cat and taken all her dad's cologne, her mom's perfume, and sprayed it all over the cat. Do you think that was maybe something they're going to be happy about? I don't think so. And then she's trying to put the cat in the washing machine. Is that a good idea?
No.
Never. Oh, no. Oh, is she in trouble now? And her parents yelled, "Stop! Ada Marie to the thinking chair now." By the time they count three, enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada queried. Her mother said, "No." What? Ada questioned. Her mother said, "Go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough of your questions. Now sit there and think." She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to you. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing. She's feeling pretty bad. So she sat and she sat and she thought, and so Ada sat and she sat and she thought about science and Stu and the cat and how her experiments made such a big mess. Did it have to be so? Was that part of success? And was our messes a problem? And what she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stink? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and that led her to two. And each of those led her to three questions more, and some of those questions resulted in four. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started with why and then what, how, and when. By the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Oh no. She's written
How
on
could you?
everything.
How did she reach up that?
She is really good at what she does. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bear paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." They're like, you know what? This is how this kid is and what she does. Let's see how we can make it work. That's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and heart that's true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. It feels as if it's all in the heart of a young scientist. So look, her parents got all kinds of science books and they're all reading together. And they made up a lab for her and a special place where she can write her questions, but it's not the wall. That was thoughtful and helpful.
But they got her a ladder.
And they got her a ladder. She that's around now we know. And so, and as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question. And someday, who knows? You think you know what the smell is? Do you know what the smell is? We reveal. What do you think it is?
His brother.
It is a very good guess, but it is in fact revealed right here in the very back. And it's her brother's stinky shoes. And when you go back through the book, you can see that every time she goes, "Okay, here, what's that smell?" her brother has just walked by, and maybe only his foot is all you see. Like here. He's barely in that picture, but you can see his foot. Boy, is it a stinky foot. Yeah. That's it. He does need to watch the fever. At least it's yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions? Anything you'd like to ask or to know? I'd be glad to answer anything, or at least try. Oh, yes, maybe so. Yes, so. Okay.
Should we ask what kid is she writing about next?
That's a good question. Tall kid wants to know that. The answer of that is I don't know. I truly do not know who is next, because what happens is they kind of have to come, and when I'm not thinking about them or looking at them, they kind of come up and grab my sleeve and go, hey, write about me. And I'm like, and none of them are going like that yet. So
So you have 17 in the class,
17 in the class.
and how many have you done?
Well, 6 kids, I guess, and 1 teacher.
Okay.
I did the math one time, and I think I figured that if I lived to be 127 or something, I would finish it. And I'm up for that. I'm fine. You'll do it. I've just reached middle age, 64. Yeah.
How long does it take you to write one of the stories?
It varies wildly. Iggy Peck took about 2 weeks, but Iggy was a standalone, one-off, just a fun thing. So there were no parameters, right? And after Iggy, then there are certain things that happen in every book. Every book starts with seeing the kid as a baby, slightly older, and then second grade, and ends with seeing the class, all of the class together again, almost always. So there's that, and then the rhyming name has to happen, which I hope is getting exponentially harder. Some days I too regret that rhyme. So it varies. I will say Billie Jean, I kind of knew what was going to happen for months ahead of time, so it kind of lives in my head, but took 2 months, 2 or 3 months to physically sit and write and get it like done. So it varies. It varies. Yeah. Yes. You're in 2nd grade, and I just say yes. Awesome.
Perfect.
Yes, very good. 2nd grade school, and you're in 3rd grade. What do you think? You like in 3rd grade? Yes.
How did you, I mean, the illustrators made such a big impact, right? How did that come about that you got put together with that illustrator?
So when you write a picture book, but you're not the illustrator as well, then you do all the edits and things, and once it's done, the editor, working with the art director, goes and finds someone they think they would like to have to. And you don't really, like, particularly starting out, you don't really have a lot of say in that at the end. But the editor did say, she said, I'm thinking about having David Roberts do these illustrations. And I said, that would be amazing. I had no clue what it was. I'd never heard it before. But I thought, yes, you want to publish my book. But you know, of all the things that have happened, that choice, that has made all the difference, because there would have been an impact with different art, and it might have been amazing and wonderful, and maybe there would have been other things that grew from it, but not this level. And of all of the people that I've heard to know, David is the most like me in the sense of our sort of our philosophy. Like, for me with words and for him with illustration, we're all about doing exactly, like putting the right thing in, putting the thing that has to get in there. And I don't care if the word is tiny or if the word is like gizmo or Romanesque. Both of those words will be like, paragraphs from each other. And it doesn't matter if they are the right words to do those. But, and David's the same way. He puts so many details in here. And I mean Easter eggs like you cannot imagine to connect the books. Much more than just the kids all showing up. Like, there are so many crazy details. And I will show you my favorite one here. Okay, this is Iggy Peck. This is Iggy's cat. Iggy's cat has the genetic condition where he has 2 different colored eyes. All right, so it's a very specific looking kind of cat. Iggy's cat shows up in Age with Scientists.
Oh.
Hidden. And I will tell kids that, and they're like, they'll go and they'll find Ada's cat, and they'll say, there it is. Nope, wrong cat. The cat, let me show you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a secret.
No, I don't know.
In this picture, in the box on the top of the shelf. That's Apex cats hiding up there.
And you can tell because of the two different
The
eyes.
two different colored eyes. There's that kind of detail connecting the books over and over and over. And over. Okay, so that bears repeating, and there's like a depth to that, complexity to that, and sometimes really complicated ideas, like in Beta, where there's the discussion of planets and then the microplanets and Haumea and all of these moons and things. David, I don't say ever like, can you put these things in? He literally works just from the words. And he brings to it the book all of the things. So it's incredible. So yes, it was like the greatest gift anyone ever made. It's gonna happen. But I didn't. Yeah.
Now you've got more than just the picture books, and I
Yes, we do. We have chapter books, and there are some.
Yes, we've got them
Yes.
at the desk. We have a selection of Miss Andrea's books. If you haven't gotten yours yet, to pick up there.
They're great fun, and I do the writing. David does the illustrations. Sometimes we have an additional illustrator to help. They're really funny, and they cover all kinds of stuff. They're mostly mysteries, not always, but they also have nonfiction stuff. And pretty much anything that's like striking my fancy and things I'm interested in, I toss them in there, and they're really fun. And we have project books, which are fun as well. So yeah, we're busy people. Oh, and next year, you guys will be glad to know, there's going to be board books of the baby questionnaires, not the grown-up ones, but the babies. Oh my, the cuteness.
Any other questions?
I'm always looking at what age kind of for each, for the chapter book, for the activity book, for this.
So the picture books, I have people with really young kids. I mean, like 18-month-olds, the people who read them with them, and they just seem to really love it. So I don't think there's a lower age and or an upper age. 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, and even I've had people who like college professors say picture classes, the book in our classes. The chapter books, probably 1st to 4th grade, and then the project books can be fairly young, down to maybe 5 or 6 with help. But then 4th to 5th grade is probably the prime. They will still be that. So thank you all so much. Let's say you're ready for Love Made Books. Yeah.